Captain Hyunwoo stared at the ancient ruins through the viewing port of his ship. The massive stone structures on Kepler 442b looked older than anything he had ever seen. His team had traveled 3 months to reach this distant planet, following reports of mysterious buildings that no one could explain. "Sir, we're ready to land," said his pilot, a young woman named Ji Hai. She had been nervous during the entire trip, but Hyunwoo trusted her skills completely. The ship touched down on the planet's surface with a soft thud. The air outside was breathable, which was strange for such an old world. Most planets this age had poisonous atmospheres or no air at all. Dr. Sojin gathered her equipment and headed for the exit. She was the team's expert on old civilizations and had studied ruins on dozens of worlds. But she had never seen anything like this before. The buildings were huge, made from some kind of black stone that seemed to absorb light. "These structures are at least 100,000 years old," Sojin said as they walked toward the largest building. "Maybe older. I've never seen this style of architecture before." Taeho, the ship's engineer, was scanning the ruins with his instruments. The readings made no sense. "Captain, these walls are giving off some kind of energy. It's very weak, but it's definitely there. After all this time, something is still powered." They entered the main building through a doorway that was perfectly sized for humans. This was odd, since most alien ruins had doors that were too big, too small, or shaped completely wrong for human bodies. Inside, the walls were covered with symbols and numbers carved deep into the stone. Sojin began taking pictures while Taeho set up his equipment to study the energy readings. "Captain, look at this," Sojin called out. She was standing in front of a wall covered with mathematical formulas. "These numbers, they're using Earth's measurements. Look here. This is Earth's gravity constant, and this one is the distance from Earth to our sun." Hyunwoo walked over to examine the wall. The symbols were clearly very old, but the math was definitely familiar. "How is that possible? These ruins are older than human civilization." Taeho was setting up a scanner near what looked like a control panel. As he worked, his hand accidentally touched one of the carved symbols. Suddenly, the entire room filled with light. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy, with thousands of star systems marked with the same symbols they had found on the walls. At the center of the map was a familiar yellow star, Earth's sun. "This can't be right," Hyunwoo whispered. The map showed Earth as the center of a vast network of worlds, connected by lines that looked like trade routes or communication channels. Sojin was studying the display with growing excitement. "Captain, this map shows Earth as the capital of some kind of empire. But that's impossible. Humans only developed space travel 300 years ago." Taeho was examining his scanner readings. "Sir, this technology is responding to my DNA. The scanner shows that the system activated when it detected human genetic markers. It's like this place was built for us." More holographic displays began appearing around the room. They showed images of humans in strange clothing, operating machines that looked incredibly advanced. The humans in the images had the same faces as modern humans, but they were clearly from a much more advanced civilization. One display showed massive ships traveling between stars. Another showed humans terraforming planets, changing dead worlds into garden paradises. A third showed what looked like humans teaching other alien species how to build cities and develop technology. "Look at the dates on these displays," Sojin said, her voice shaking. "If I'm reading these symbols correctly, these images are from over 1 million years ago." Hyunwoo felt dizzy. Everything he knew about human history was wrong. According to these images, humans had been traveling the galaxy for 1 million years. They had built an empire that spanned thousands of worlds. They had been the teachers of every other species in the galaxy. But what happened to them? Jihi asked. "If humans were so advanced, why did we end up primitive on Earth?" Taeho was studying another display. I think something made them leave. Look at this." He pointed to images that showed the advanced humans abandoning their cities and ships. The images showed them returning to Earth and somehow hiding or destroying their technology. So Jin was taking pictures of everything, trying to record as much as possible. This changes everything we know about human history. We weren't primitive cave dwellers who slowly developed technology. We were the galaxy's first great civilization. The holographic displays showed one final image, Earth, but not the Earth they knew. This Earth was covered with massive cities and space elevators reaching into orbit. Millions of ships surrounded the planet. Then the image changed, showing the cities being abandoned and nature reclaiming the land. They chose to become primitive, Hyunwoo realized. For some reason, the ancient humans decided to give up their technology and live simple lives on Earth. Taeho's scanner beeped with new information. Captain, I'm detecting similar energy signatures on dozens of worlds throughout this sector. If these ruins exist here, there might be thousands of other sites scattered across the galaxy. So Jin looked up from her work. We need to contact Earth immediately. This discovery will change how every species in the galaxy sees humans. We're not the newcomers everyone thinks we are. We're the ancients who built the foundations of galactic civilization. Hyunwoo nodded, but he felt worried. If humans had once ruled the galaxy and then deliberately chosen to forget their past, there must have been a very good reason. What had frightened the most advanced civilization in galactic history enough to make them abandon everything? As they prepared to leave the ruins, Jihai noticed something carved above the main doorway. The symbols were different from the others. Simpler, but somehow more important. What does it say? Hyunwoo asked. Sojin translated slowly. We withdrew so others could grow. We will return when the galaxy needs its guardians again. The team stood in silence, realizing that their discovery was more than just ancient history. It was a promise. And if the ancient humans had left a promise, it meant they had planned to return someday. The question was, had that day finally come? Commander Subin read the report from Captain Hyunwoo's expedition for the third time. The discovery on Kepler 442b was impossible to believe, but the evidence was overwhelming. As head of the Human Defense Fleet's research division, she had seen many strange things, but nothing like this. She walked to her office window and looked out at the space dock where human ships were being built. The quantum processors that powered their fastest computers had always puzzled scientists. No one could explain why humans had developed such advanced quantum technology so quickly, while other species had taken thousands of years to achieve similar results. Now Subin wondered if it wasn't development at all. Maybe it was remembering. Her assistant, Lieutenant Woo Jin, entered with more reports. Commander, we're getting similar findings from 12 other archaeological sites. Every location shows the same pattern, ancient human technology that responds to human DNA. Subin turned from the window. Have you run the genetic analysis I requested? Yes, ma'am. The results are strange. Every human tested shows inactive genetic sequences that perfectly match the biological locks found in the ruins. It's like we all carry keys to these ancient systems in our DNA. On the research station Prometheus, Dr. Woo Jin was studying tissue samples from the ruins. His team had been working around the clock since the discovery was announced. The genetic markers they found were definitely human, but they were older than any human remains ever discovered on Earth. Doctor, you need to see this, called his assistant, a young researcher named Mi Young. She was looking at a computer screen that showed genetic code. I've been comparing the ancient DNA with samples from modern humans. Look at chromosome pair 23. Woo Jin examined the data. These sequences are identical, but that's impossible unless modern humans are descendants of the ancient ones, Mi Young finished. But there's more. These inactive genes aren't random mutations. They're deliberately designed compatibility codes for the ancient technology. Across the galaxy, similar discoveries were being made. On the mining world of Series 7, human workers found that ancient machinery responded to their presence. Equipment that had been dormant for millennia suddenly came to life when humans approached. Ji-hai, the pilot from Hyunwoo's expedition, had been having strange dreams since their return from Kepler 442b. In her dreams, she saw massive ships traveling between stars and cities that floated in space. She saw humans who looked just like her operating technology that seemed magical. At first, she thought the dreams were just her imagination, but when she described them to Dr. So-Jin, the archaeologist became very excited. "Those aren't dreams," So-Jin explained. "They're genetic memories. Some humans carry stronger traces of ancient DNA, and exposure to the ruins can activate these dormant memories." Ji-Hai found herself remembering things she had never learned. She knew how to operate spacecraft designs that hadn't been invented yet. She understood scientific principles that human scientists were still discovering. The most shocking revelation came from the Velthari Confederation, the oldest known civilization in the galaxy. Ambassador Dong Hyun received a message from their High Council that changed everything. "The Velthari have been studying their own ancient records," Dong Hyun reported to Earth's government. "Their creation myths speak of the first ones who taught them agriculture and mathematics. The descriptions they give match ancient humans perfectly." Other species began examining their own histories. The Zephyrian Empire found references to sky teachers who had shown them how to build their first cities. The Crystalline Collective discovered that their mathematical systems were based on principles given to them by the departed ones. Every major civilization in the galaxy had stories about a vanished race that had taught them the basics of science and technology. Until now, everyone had assumed these were just myths. Dr. Wu Jin made another discovery that shook the scientific community. "I've been analyzing the genetic data from 17 different species," he announced during a galactic conference. "Every intelligent species we've studied shows signs of genetic manipulation in their distant past. Someone helped guide their evolution toward intelligence." The implications were staggering. Ancient humans hadn't just built an advanced civilization. They had apparently helped create most of the other intelligent species in the galaxy. Subin was studying reports from across human space when her communications officer brought urgent news. "Commander, we're receiving activation signals from automated systems throughout human territory. Ancient installations that we thought were natural formations are coming online. On dozens of worlds, structures that had been mistaken for mountains or natural rock formations were revealing themselves to be artificial. Ancient human bases hidden for millennia were awakening as human populations grew larger and spread further across space." Tae Ho, now promoted to chief engineer for ancient technology research, made a breakthrough that explained everything. The ancient systems were programmed to activate when human population and technology reached certain levels. "We finally triggered their wake-up conditions." The activation wasn't random. Ancient human installations were strategically placed throughout the galaxy, forming a network of bases, sensors, and communication relays. It was becoming clear that the ancient humans had planned their return from the very beginning. Ji-Hai, whose genetic memories were growing stronger, began experiencing visions of the ancient humans' final days. She saw them making a difficult choice: remain and possibly become tyrants over younger species, or withdraw and let the galaxy develop naturally. They left because they loved the galaxy too much to rule it, she explained to the research team. But they also prepared for the day when their guidance would be needed again. The genetic memories revealed the truth about human instincts. The human ability to adapt quickly to new environments, their natural understanding of three-dimensional combat, and their talent for leadership weren't evolutionary traits. They were inherited memories from a civilization that had mastered space travel for hundreds of thousands of years. Dr. So-Jin made the final connection that tied everything together. "The ancient humans didn't disappear," she announced. "They became us. They used genetic engineering to suppress their advanced abilities and hide their technology. Modern humans are their descendants, carrying dormant memories and capabilities that activate when needed." The awakening was accelerating. Across human space, people were beginning to remember things their species had forgotten. Ancient skills were returning. Technologies that had taken decades to develop were suddenly intuitive to human engineers. But with the awakening came a growing sense of unease. If the ancient humans had withdrawn from the galaxy, there must have been a reason. And if their systems were activating now after 1,000,000 years of silence, it might mean that whatever had caused them to leave was coming back. The galaxy was about to rediscover that humanity had never really been gone. They had just been waiting for the right time to remember who they truly were. The Galactic Council chamber on Nexus Prime had never seen such chaos. Ambassador Dong Hyun stood at the center of the Great Hall, surrounded by representatives from hundreds of species, all shouting at once. The evidence he had presented was clear, but no one wanted to accept it. "This is impossible," declared the Zephyrian Emperor's representative, a tall being with silver skin and 4 arms. "Humans are a young species. They only developed space travel 3 centuries ago. They cannot be our predecessors." Dong-hyun remained calm, despite the anger around him. The evidence speaks for itself. The genetic markers, the technological signatures, the historical records, they all point to the same conclusion. The representative from the Crystalline Collective, a being made of living crystal that reflected rainbow light, spoke in a voice like breaking glass. "Even if humans once had an advanced civilization, that does not give them authority over us now. We have built our own empire. We owe them nothing." But not everyone was angry. The Velthari ambassador, an elderly being with wise eyes, stood up slowly. "My people have always known this day would come. Our oldest songs speak of the return of the first ones. We welcome our ancient teachers back to the galaxy." Mi Young, the young xenolinguist, had been working day and night since the discovery. Her research had revealed something that shocked even her. She presented her findings to the council through a holographic display. "I have analyzed over 400 galactic languages," she announced. 43% of all known languages contain root words from ancient human dialects. The mathematical principles used by every civilization in this chamber originated from human discoveries made over 1 million years ago. The display showed examples from dozens of species. The Zephyrian word for star was almost identical to an ancient human word. The Crystalline Collective's mathematical symbols were simplified versions of ancient human equations. Even the neural symbiosis used communication patterns based on human brainwave frequencies. Your languages, your mathematics, your science, it all comes from humanity's first galactic empire, Mi Young continued. You have been speaking human words and using human knowledge for thousands of years without knowing it. The chamber erupted in angry protests, but Mi Young wasn't finished. There's more. The hyperspace routes that connect our worlds aren't natural phenomena. They were created by ancient human stellar engineering. The naturally habitable worlds, where your civilizations developed, show clear signs of artificial terraforming. Jae Sung, leading an expedition to the galactic core, had made an even more shocking discovery. His message reached the council just as the debate was reaching its peak. "This is Captain Jae Sung reporting from the galactic core. We have found the ultimate proof of human primacy. There is a massive construct surrounding the central black hole. It's a stellar engine of incredible size, still functioning after 1 million years. The entire structure is covered with human mathematical signatures." The holographic image that accompanied his message showed a structure so vast it defied comprehension. It was larger than entire solar systems, built around the galaxy's central black hole. The engineering required to create such a thing was beyond anything any current civilization could imagine. "This construct has been regulating the galaxy's stability for 1 million years," Jae Sung continued. "It controls star formation, manages gravitational fields, and maintains the hyperspace network. Without it, our entire galaxy would have collapsed into chaos long ago." The council chamber fell silent. The implications were terrifying. If ancient humans had built a device that controlled the entire galaxy's stability, and if they were the only ones who understood how to maintain it, then every living being in the galaxy depended on humanity's goodwill. Kyung-ho, a historian, studying ancient records, made the final revelation that explained everything. He had been working with Ji-hai, whose genetic memories were providing crucial insights into the ancient human mindset. "I have discovered why the ancient humans withdrew," Kyung-ho announced to the assembled leaders. "They didn't disappear because they were conquered or destroyed. They chose to leave." His research showed that the ancient human civilization had reached a level of power that made them essentially gods to younger species. They could create or destroy stars at will. They could manipulate time and space. They could design entire species and guide the evolution of life itself. But with that power came a terrible responsibility, Kyung-ho continued. They realized they had two choices: become eternal rulers over a galaxy of slaves, or withdraw and allow other species to develop independently. Ji-hai, whose genetic memories were now almost complete, stood to address the council. Her eyes held the wisdom of a million-year-old civilization. The ancient humans loved the galaxy too much to rule it, she said. They saw that their presence was preventing younger species from reaching their full potential. So they made the greatest sacrifice in galactic history. They chose to forget their own power and become ordinary again. The genetic memories revealed the ancient humans' final plan. They had engineered their own regression, suppressing their advanced abilities and hiding their technology. They had scattered themselves across the galaxy, becoming the ancestors of dozens of different human populations on various worlds. Earth was just one of many refuge worlds, Ji-hai explained. The humans who stayed there lost the most memories, while other populations retained different aspects of the ancient knowledge. We were never meant to stay separated forever. We were meant to reunite when the galaxy was ready for our return. The younger galactic civilizations faced a crisis of identity. Species that had viewed humans as upstart newcomers suddenly realized their entire cultures were built on human foundations. The Zephyrian Empire's greatest architectural achievements were copies of ancient human designs. The crystalline collectives' advanced mathematics were simplified versions of human equations. Even worse, many species began to remember their own creation myths more clearly. The gods who had taught them civilization, the sky beings who had given them technology, the wise ones who had guided their evolution, they had all been ancient humans. The neural symbiosis representative, a collective consciousness that spoke through multiple bodies, made a statement that summarized the shock everyone felt. If humans are our creators, our teachers, and our guides, then what are we? Are we truly independent beings or just experiments in a human laboratory? But the ancient humans had anticipated this reaction. The genetic memories that Ji-hai was accessing contained messages left specifically for this moment. You are not our experiments, she said, speaking with the voice of the ancients. You are our children, and we are proud of what you have become. We withdrew not because we didn't love you, but because we loved you too much to limit your growth. You have exceeded our greatest hopes. The message continued through Ji-hai. We return now not as your rulers, but as your partners. The galaxy faces challenges that require both the wisdom of age and the innovation of youth. Together, we will build something greater than either of us could achieve alone. But not everyone was ready to accept this partnership. The three major galactic powers, the Zephyrian Empire, the Crystalline Collective, and the Neural Symbiosis, had built their identities on being the galaxy's dominant civilizations. The idea that they were actually the students of a species they had dismissed as primitive was too humiliating to accept. Secret meetings began among the major powers. Plans were made to suppress the evidence of human primacy and destroy the ancient installations before they could fully activate. If humanity wanted to reclaim their place as the galaxy's guardians, they would have to fight for it. The recognition wars were about to begin. The first attack came without warning. Colonel Minho was inspecting an ancient human installation on the planet Kepler 438b when the Zephyrian fleet appeared in orbit. Their ships began bombing the site, trying to destroy the evidence of human civilization before it could be fully studied. All personnel take cover in the underground chambers, Minho shouted over the sound of explosions. His team of soldiers and scientists ran for the ancient bunkers that had been built beneath the ruins. As they descended into the tunnels, something strange happened. The ancient walls began glowing with soft blue light. Defensive systems that had been dormant for 1,000,000 years suddenly came online. Energy shields appeared around the installation, deflecting the Zephyrian bombardment. Sir, how is this possible? Asked Lieutenant Bo Young, staring at the weapon systems that were activating around them. Minho touched one of the control panels and felt a surge of understanding flow through his mind. It's responding to us. The system recognizes human DNA and brain patterns. Above ground, the Zephyrian admiral was growing frustrated. His most powerful weapons were having no effect on the ancient shields. Then human reinforcements arrived, ships that shouldn't have been able to match Zephyrian technology but somehow fought as equals. The human pilots seemed to know things they couldn't possibly know. They anticipated enemy movements, understood alien tactics, and operated their ships with impossible skill. What the Zephyrians didn't realize was that genetic memories were awakening in humans across the galaxy. Dr. Yunji made a breakthrough that changed everything. Working in a hidden research facility, she had been studying the genetic locks on ancient human installations. When she finally unlocked one, the result was beyond anything she had imagined. "Commander Subin, you need to see this," she called, over the communication link. "I've activated an ancient shipyard hidden in the Veil Nebula." The facility was massive, larger than any space station ever built. It had been disguised as a natural nebula formation for 1,000,000 years, but now it was revealing its true nature. Ancient manufacturing systems began producing ships using principles that made current galactic technology seem primitive. The new vessels could manipulate space-time itself, folding distances to travel instantly between stars. They could harness dark energy and think faster than organic minds. Most importantly, they responded only to human operators. Subin realized that this was just one of many hidden facilities scattered throughout the galaxy. "How many more are there?" "Hundreds," Yunji replied. "Maybe thousands." The ancient humans built backup systems for everything. They planned for their eventual return from the very beginning. The war was spreading across the galaxy. The hegemony of Saren and the Void Hunters had joined the Zephyrian Empire in trying to suppress human claims. They called themselves the Sovereignty Alliance and declared that humans were a threat to galactic peace. But they weren't fighting the same humans who had seemed weak just months before. Admiral Young-suk discovered that her tactical abilities were far beyond anything she had learned in military school. She understood three-dimensional space combat instinctively, as if she had been fighting in space for centuries. "It's not training," she explained to her staff. "It's memory. We're remembering skills our ancestors had 1,000,000 years ago." Human soldiers found that they could operate alien technology better than its creators. Ancient battle platforms responded to human commands, giving them overwhelming advantages in combat. Weapons that had been dormant for millennia awakened at a human touch. The tide of war turned when Hanul, a young human with particularly strong ancient genes, accidentally activated, something that shocked both sides. She was working as a technician on a space station when she touched what seemed like a decorative panel. Suddenly, every communication system in the galaxy received the same signal. A network that had been hidden as background radiation for 1,000,000 years revealed itself. Sensor arrays disguised as asteroids came online. Communication relays that had pretended to be comets began transmitting data. "This is impossible," declared the Crystalline Collective's military commander. No one could build a sensor network spanning the entire galaxy. But the ancient humans had done exactly that. For 1,000,000 years, they had been watching and listening to everything that happened in the galaxy. They had maintained their surveillance network even while living as primitives on Earth. Hanul found herself connected to the network through her genetic memories. She could see every star system, monitor every fleet movement, and communicate instantly across galactic distances. Humanity suddenly had perfect intelligence about all enemy activities. "The Sovereignty Alliance fleet is moving to attack the Veil Nebula shipyard," she reported to Admiral Young-suk. "They have over 1,000 ships." Young-suk smiled grimly. "Then it's time to show them what we're really capable of." The Battle of the Veil Nebula became legendary. The Sovereignty Alliance arrived expecting to face a small human force defending a single installation. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by ancient human defenses that had been waiting 1,000,000 years for this moment. Space stations that had been mistaken for asteroids revealed massive weapons. Hidden minefields activated throughout the nebula. Ancient human ships emerged from hyperspace with technology that seemed magical to their enemies. Minho, now commanding ground forces, watched the space battle from the surface of a nearby planet. They're not just fighting us, he realized. They're fighting a million years of preparation. The Sovereignty Alliance suffered a crushing defeat. Their most advanced ships were destroyed by weapons they couldn't understand. Their commanders found themselves outmaneuvered by tactics that were older than their civilizations. But the real shock came when the battle was over. Young-suk opened communications with the surviving enemy ships and spoke with the voice of ancient authority. "You have fought bravely," she said, "but you are fighting against your own protectors. We withdrew from the galaxy to give you freedom to grow. We return now because that growth has made you ready for the challenges ahead." The enemy commanders demanded to know what challenges she meant. Young-suk's response chilled them to their cores. The same threat that forced our original withdrawal is returning. Sensors at the galaxy's edge have detected ships using technology that doesn't belong to any known species. The Devourers are coming back. Dr. Yunji had been studying the ancient records and genetic memories. What she found explained everything about the ancient humans' mysterious retreat. They didn't withdraw because they were afraid of becoming tyrants, she reported. They withdrew because they were preparing for a war that would take 1,000,000 years to fight. The ancient humans had detected an invasion from outside the galaxy, beings that consumed entire star systems and left nothing behind but empty space. The technology needed to fight such enemies was beyond anything a single species could develop. So they scattered themselves throughout the galaxy, Yunji continued. They guided the evolution of hundreds of species, teaching each one different aspects of science and technology. When the Devourers returned, the galaxy would be ready with innovations that no single species could have imagined. Hanuel, still connected to the ancient sensor network, brought the worst possible news. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures at the galaxy's edge. Ships the size of moons, moving toward inhabited systems. They're not using any technology. We recognize." Young-suk felt the weight of ancient memory settling on her shoulders. The time for hiding was over. Humanity's million-year plan was entering its final phase. "Send a message to all fleets, both human and alien," she ordered. "Tell them the recognition wars are finished. We have a real enemy to fight now. The Devourers have returned, and this time, we're ready for them." President Insu stood in the emergency session of the Galactic Council, facing the most difficult decision in human history. The ancient sensor networks had confirmed everyone's worst fears. The Devourers had returned in greater numbers than ever before. "The Outer Rim colonies have gone silent," reported General Sang-woo through the communication link. "Entire systems are simply gone. No debris, no survivors, nothing but empty space where stars used to be." The assembled representatives from hundreds of species looked to Insu with a mixture of hope and fear. The recognition wars had ended abruptly when the true threat became clear. But many aliens still struggled to accept humanity as their ancient guardians. "What are your orders?" asked Admiral Young-suk. Her fleet was gathering at the galaxy's edge, but even with ancient human technology, the enemy seemed unstoppable. Insu felt the weight of genetic memories pressing against her mind. The ancient humans had faced this choice before: reveal their full power or watch the galaxy burn. This time they had allies. "Activate all ancient installations," she commanded. "It's time to show the galaxy what we've been preparing for." Across the galaxy, structures that had been hidden for 1,000,000 years began revealing themselves. Mountains split open to expose massive weapon platforms. Asteroids unfolded into battle stations. Even planets themselves were revealed to be ancient, human constructs built specifically to fight the Devourers. Dr. Bo-young, working frantically in her research lab, made a discovery that explained the Devourers' true nature. "They're not from another galaxy," she announced. "They're from another dimension. They exist partially outside normal space-time, which is why conventional weapons can't hurt them." The ancient humans had known this. Their million-year withdrawal hadn't been retreat. It had been the most complex research project in galactic history. They had scattered themselves to study reality from every possible angle, learning how to fight enemies that existed beyond physical laws. Captain Jun Seo found himself in command of the ancient flagship Eternal Vigil, a ship so advanced it seemed more like a living creature than a machine. The vessel responded to his thoughts, understood his intentions, and possessed knowledge that spanned millions of years. "Sir, we're receiving activation codes from throughout the galaxy," his communications officer reported. "Ancient human installations are coming online everywhere." Junseo felt the ship's vast intelligence merge with his own mind. Suddenly, he understood the true scope of humanity's preparation. The entire galaxy had been turned into a weapon, designed specifically to fight the Devourers. The first major battle took place in the Andromeda approach, where a Devourer fleet the size of a solar system was consuming everything in its path. The combined galactic forces arrived expecting to find a hopeless fight. Instead, they witnessed something impossible. Human ships were using technology that bent the laws of physics. They fired weapons made of crystallized time, created shields from folded space, and moved through dimensions that other species couldn't even perceive. But the real surprise came when the alien allies revealed what they had learned during their centuries of independence. The Zephyrian Empire had developed quantum mathematics that complemented ancient human science. The crystalline collective had mastered energy manipulation techniques that the ancient humans had never imagined. "This is what we planned for," Admiral Youngsuk explained as the combined fleet engaged the Devourers. Humanity alone could never have defeated them, but humanity working with hundreds of other species, each bringing unique innovations, that's something the Devourers never expected. The battle was unlike anything in galactic history. Ships phased in and out of reality, weapons struck targets across dimensional barriers, and the very fabric of spacetime became a battlefield. The Devourers, ancient and powerful as they were, found themselves facing tactics they had never encountered. Hanoul, her consciousness expanded across the entire sensor network, coordinated the battle from multiple perspectives simultaneously. "Enemy fleet is retreating to hyperspace," she reported. "But there are more coming, much more." The victory was temporary, but it proved something crucial. The Devourers could be beaten. Elder Hyojin, the oldest living human and the strongest carrier of genetic memories, addressed the galaxy from Earth. Her words carried the authority of 1,000,000 years of preparation. "The ancient humans made a promise," she said. "We would return when the galaxy needed us most. That time has come, but we do not return as conquerors or rulers. We return as partners in a fight that will determine the fate of all life." The next wave of Devourers was massive. Hundreds of moon-sized ships accompanied by swarms of smaller vessels. But this time, the galaxy was ready. Ancient human installations throughout the galaxy activated in perfect coordination. Stellar engineering, projects that had been disguised as natural phenomena, revealed their true purposes. The hyperspace network itself became a weapon, trapping Devourer ships in dimensional loops. Junseo commanded a fleet that included vessels from every major species in the galaxy. Zephyrian ships provided the mobility. Crystalline collective vessels supplied energy manipulation. Neural symbiosis units offered tactical coordination, and human ships wielded the reality warping technology of the ancients. "All units, execute. Pattern Omega," Junseo ordered. It was a battle plan that had been developed over thousands of years, combining the best innovations from every galactic civilization. The combined fleet moved like a single organism. Each species contributed their greatest strengths, while the ancient human technology bound everything together. The Devourers found themselves facing not just advanced weapons, but entirely new forms of warfare. General Sang-woo, commanding ground forces on a dozen worlds simultaneously, watched as ancient human planetary defenses activated. Entire worlds became weapons, using gravitational manipulation and stellar engineering to trap Devourer forces in inescapable positions. "The enemy is adapting," he reported. "But so are we. Every battle teaches us more about how to fight them." The war continued for months, with battles raging across thousands of star systems. The Devourers were powerful and numerous, but they were fighting a galaxy that had been preparing for their return for 1,000,000 years. The final battle took place at the galactic core, where the ancient human stellar engine still regulated space-time itself. The Devourers had learned that destroying this construct would collapse the entire galaxy, making it uninhabitable for any form of life. President Insu, Admiral Youngsuk, and representatives from every major species gathered for the last stand. The ancient human installation around the black hole became the command center for the greatest military operation in galactic history. All ancient systems are online, reported Dr. Bo-young. The stellar engine is ready to be used as a weapon, but the cost will be worth it if we save the galaxy, Insu replied. She understood what the ancient humans had always known. Some prices must be paid to protect life itself. The battle was desperate. Devourer ships the size of planets attacked, the galactic core trying to reach the stellar engine. The combined galactic fleet fought with everything they had, using weapons and tactics that rewrote the laws of physics. In the end, it was cooperation that won the war. Human technology provided the power, but alien innovations provided the crucial advantages that the Devourers couldn't counter. The galaxy's diversity, carefully cultivated over 1 million years, became its greatest weapon. The Devourers were finally defeated, driven back to whatever dimension they had come from. The stellar engine, damaged but still functional, continued to maintain galactic stability. Elder Hyojin established the new Galactic Compact in the aftermath of victory. Humanity takes its place not as rulers, but as guardians, she announced. We have returned not to control the galaxy, but to protect it alongside all our fellow species. The Compact recognized humanity's ancient role while establishing a new form of government based on cooperation rather than domination. Each species contributed their unique strengths to the common defense, creating a civilization stronger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Years later, as the galaxy rebuilt and prepared for whatever challenges the future might hold, children of many species learned about the return of the ancients. They learned how humanity had loved the galaxy enough to withdraw, and how they had returned when love demanded sacrifice. The ancient human promise had been kept. They had returned when the galaxy needed them most, not as conquerors, but as the guardians they had always been meant to be. And in the depths of space, ancient sensors continued their eternal watch, ready for whatever threats might emerge from the darkness between the stars.